lit. Roll up to the party, roll up to the party. Roll up to
Good morning and welcome back to the channel. In this morning's Celtic FC news, we're going to talk about the Vidplay Cup quarter-final draw, when that will happen, and we'll talk about the teams that are still in the Cup. And do you think it's right that these teams come in at such a late stage, and why on earth is the Cup played so early? We're going to talk about Celtic signings, with the talk all about wingers and replacement for Jota, and it's a game of two players. We all want Daniel Podence, but we know we're going to end up with Ryan Fraser. You just know it. Anyway, we're going to talk about him, and we're going to talk about a player that has just left Celtic, and we're going to talk about actually when you look at his stats and why didn't fans really like him, and we're going to look at his stats and say, you know, he actually wasn't such a bad player after all. So we're going to talk about that in just a minute. First of all, let's talk about the Vidplay Cup this Sunday. Celtic are away to Kilmarnock. The kick-off at 3 p.m. and you'll be able to watch that on the telly. And tell me what you think the score will be, and we'll talk about that this evening on the live. So the live will be at 19:16 Celtic Park time, so make sure that you tune in for that. So we're down to the last 16 of the action. Friday night, Aberdeen travel to Stirling Albion. So let's get the fixtures in total. Stirling Albion versus Aberdeen. Good little away game for them. Sevco, the Rangers, play Greenock Morton. Airdrie play Ross County. Livingston play Ayr United. St Mirren play Motherwell. And Hearts are at home to Partick Thistle. Hibs are at home to Raith Rovers. And Kilmarnock are at home to Celtic. It would be great to get Raith Rovers in the final again, get some revenge for 1995. Just on a personal note. So tell me who you think will get through. Do you think that it's right that some of these teams are left out? And we know it's because of the European qualifiers. Predominantly, that's why the teams are left out. And it does start before the season even starts, which I think is completely bizarre. But they do it the way that they do it. Should we have a cup game so early on in the season? You know, it's one of those cups that it matters, but then, you know, does it really matter? It adds to the treble, of course it does. It matters. All it matters. It always matters. So tell me your thoughts in the comments with that. Is it right that that all these teams come in at the last 16 fixture stage, and does it devalue the cup in any way that these teams are coming in later on? Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments. Right, let's talk about a player that yesterday penned a goodbye to Celtic, even though he left just over a week and a bit ago. Carl Starfelt. Carl Starfelt is a player over the last couple of seasons that Celtic fans have either loved or loathed, and most of the time they'll kind of loathe them. And it was strange because when you look at his stats, and we're going to look at his stats in a second. But first of all, we'll talk about what he said. Carl Starfelt took it to Instagram to say that I want to thank everyone in and around Celtic for these 2 seasons. And extra thanks to all the fans. Your passion is what makes the club so special. And we all know that because we have Celtic fans all around the world. I leave a lot richer in friendships, trophies, experiences, and untouchable memories I will never forget. I am always going to be grateful for my time here. Celtic FC, what a club. That's from Carl Starfelt, and you've got to admit, you know, it is when you look at his stats, let's look at the stats at his first season at Celtic. His first season at Celtic, he played 49 games. He scored 1 goal. He had 4 yellow cards and only the 1 red card. And that was in his first season. And you've got to admit, you know, we've done not too bad that first season. And then when you go into his second full season, we'll go into his second full season. Just click here. And, you know, he done not too bad again. When you look at the terms of when he played with Cameron Carter-Vickers and the amount of clean sheets they had and the amount of times that they didn't get beat, you know, he played in total last year, he played 37 games. He had 3 goals last season, and he had more than that actually. He had 4 goals. He had 4 goals altogether. He had 3 yellow cards, and he didn't have a red card last season. So when you look at the amount of games that he played, and obviously he was kept out with knee injury for a big part of last season at the early stages, and especially during the Champions League. And did that cause us issues in the Champions League? The fact that we didn't have those two playing together, Cameron and Carl Starfelt, is that what cost us the Champions League last year? Is that what cost us so many goals in the Champions League? Tell me your thoughts in the comments on that. We really need a strong partnership in defence, and it looks like we've got it with Gustav that's came in. Him and Carl look as if they're going to be immense together. But looking back on last year, Carl Starfelt had a knee injury in the Real Madrid game, first game Champions League. Shakhtar Donetsk, he was out with the knee game. Leipzig, out with the knee injury. Leipzig again, and then he came back for the last game against Real Madrid. Got beat 5-1 in Madrid. And you're thinking, Real Madrid they're looking to try and win the competition. They're wanting to finish on a high and go forwards. But there's a lot of other teams that have done a lot worse. Tell me your thoughts on that. Tell me your thoughts about Carl Starfelt now that he's gone, and we can look back. Was he really such a bad player? I don't think so. I think when you look at the amount of times that him and big Cameron Carter-Vickers played together and how many games they won together, the partnership was actually quite immense, and I think that's something that we'll need to sort out really soon, and I hope we have with the players that have came in already in defence. Now let's talk about wingers. Talk about wingers at Celtic. We're adamant that we're bringing in another wide player to replace Jota. A lot of people are saying he's given Marco his chance. Marco could be the man to replace Jota. But we're still after Daniel Podence from Wolves. The Wolves manager, the new Wolves manager, Gary O'Neill, admits that he actually might still be able to stay at Wolves if he gets his act together in training. But Celtic are after two players, it seems. And one of them is Daniel Podence, and there was a rumour yesterday that we were going to get him for about 8 million and a 15% sell-on clause, but that rumour started on Twitter, and it came from an account that only had about 46 followers, so people aren't looking too much into that. And on the other hand, we've got Ryan Fraser from Newcastle, that was an ex-Aberdeen player that Aberdeen sold for 400,000 10 years ago, and he's been a bit of in and out of the Newcastle team, and he doesn't even have a number for Newcastle. So you've got two players that are not really liked by their club. Well, Ryan Fraser's definitely not liked by Newcastle, but he could cost very, very little money. And a lot of people are going to say, look, the way that Celtic go is the Celtic are going to go for the cheap option. But Daniel Podence is a bit of a player, and Brendan knows all about him from his time at Leicester. And he came up against him a few times, and he was really good. So what do you think is going to happen? Because the Celtic's transfer leaks have gone all quiet. It seems to be that Celtic have pulled down the hatches and made sure that there's no information getting leaked at all at the moment, which is a good thing. And hopefully they'll just do their business and then announce a player. Will they announce somebody this weekend? I don't think so. I think it's going to go into next week, and then it's going to get squeaky bum time to see who actually get in. It's not really squeaky bum time, but it has been a transfer window that hasn't really inspired a lot of people, a lot of fans, and I'm only saying that purely for the comments I've seen. I do think Yang will be a brilliant player for us. I think he will be tremendous. Tello, Marco, I think he will be a good player as well. We need to get him fit and get him playing. Gustav looks immense already, and then he's up to speed already, so Gustav has just come in the door. So, we don't have to get him fit. He can walk straight into the squad. He looks like he's going to be a good player for us. So on that note, make sure that you catch the live this evening at 19:16 Celtic Park time. On that note, if there's any other news this afternoon, I will get another video out later just to get a catch up and round off with the news. So on that note, have a great day, Celtic fans all around the world.
Lit. Roll up to the party, roll up to the party, roll up to the party, roll up to